Oh, good afternoon. I tell you right now, I am ready for a very good afternoon. I'm very comfortable indeed because last week I sat down with this man called Jeff Bowman. We talked all about finances, the stuff that I do everything in the world to avoid. And it was comfortable. I didn't feel like I was, having psychological help. That was always a good start. So, mate, you are the man behind Wealth Design. Of course, you're not a financial planner as such. You're giving educational advice, which is the thing. This is obviously not financial advice. This is education. Great to have you here, mate. I'm ready to get into the show. In fact, I'll get comfy. I'll kick
Get
myself
comfy.
back.
Get comfy.
Yeah, why
I'm
not?
propped
Why
up.
not?
We're
Yeah.
good. We're good.
That's it. Right? Look, as I said last week, we got into things and sort of got to know each other a little bit better. Which was very easy. You're a very easy man to talk to. In fact, one of your products, sorry to just jump straight into this, but one of your products is literally just an appointment. You can go away, get onto the old internet, go onto the website, click on and just make an appointment with you, no obligations and that.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant, mate, because these days we're not accustomed to getting things for free, certainly not without a big catch. So there's no catch involved with this. It's just, get some advice and set you on the path.
Yeah, absolutely, Aaron. And it was sort of it came about more by accident than design, really.
Okay.
As you know, one of our services is in helping people extract tax deductions for running their private motor vehicles through novated leasing. And out of the blue, the owners of these businesses that I would work with, not big businesses, sort of 10 to 20 employees in size, would phone me up 6 or 8 weeks later and go, Jeff, can I organise a time to come have a chat? So, oh, yeah, what do you want to talk about? And because you often think something's gone wrong, but no, they said, I just want to talk about our personal financial planning arrangements.
Okay.
And I had to say, look, as you were aware, I sold the financial planning business, and
you did.
I cannot give advice.
No.
And they said, look, that's okay. We've been to your LinkedIn site. We just want to, come and have a chat. And
nothing but positive can come out of a chat. Okay, honestly, this is a great way of being educated, a great way of having a casual talk about the things, because you're making a plan here. Okay, you're making a plan for your future and for your kids' future, and this is something we shouldn't take lightly. But at the same time, you need to have that level of trust, and a comfortable conversation will do that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think since the Royal Commission, a lot of people in the Royal Commission into the financial services industry, a lot of people have sort of been almost priced out of the financial planning market.
I was going to ask you about this. Okay, and sorry to interrupt. I think you're bang on because of all of these know your client rules, this, that rule. And all the stuff. And there's some positives that came out of the Royal Commission and the inquiries and all that sort of thing. It was a Royal Commission, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thought so. Look, a lot of positive came out of that and accountability and all of that. But there's two sides to everything. And in this particular case, I think you're absolutely bang on. I think because it created a lot of extra costs in the industry, and that's my personal opinion anyway, that priced a lot of people. And everyday Aussies, everyday people, full stop, need to have that education. So pricing them out, it's bad news.
Yes, that's right. And it's all... the minimum fee when I sold the business for all the licensing and PI, etc., it was about 50 grand a year, plus your salaries of 130 plus for an advisor, and the poor old advisor doesn't get all this.
Of course not. Like, it's not how the world works.
A statement of advice might be between $5,000 to $10,000 now.
Okay.
I've heard one last week over $20,000 for a statement of advice. Yeah, okay. And of course, probably 80% of that would go on professional indemnity, licensing fees with ASIC, etc. The poor old advisor has been done it, but he's got to charge those costs,
of course,
to meet his obligations. And so we don't provide advice, but of course we can have a chat. It's a bit of a discovery meeting.
Yeah,
a whole bunch of bullet points we create, and then we do if we think a financial planner is absolutely appropriate for them, then we make the formal introduction to a financial advisor.
Okay.
That's how we operate.
Yeah. So, and this is another good thing too, because, you're talking to people, you're finding out what their needs are, and then you're introducing them to the advisor who probably is best suited, rather than just sort of, throwing darts at a board.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if someone absolutely is adamant they need to talk to a female financial advisor, then,
Sorry, mate, you can't cut it. Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Can't do it. Do it. But we've got some great, female advisors out there that we can honestly recommend to. We know there's a match with their personalities, etc., etc. So,
all right, mate. Look, I want to go further on this people being priced out of the market, because to me this is a real factor here. So, I mean, would it be fair to say probably half the market has been effectively pushed out?
Pretty well, yeah. So we have people come in. They go, look, we've meant to get our finances organised, Jeff. Can we just come and have a chat? And it might be that estate planning is a pressing issue because they need to get their wills done, or enduring power of attorney. Or advanced health directives now that are all state government based. So you can actually appoint someone to say, look, and your doctor to say, look, I only want pain relief. Don't keep me alive. Things like that. It's quite important paperwork. So we've got the estate planning lawyers that we can refer our clients to, and we just effect the introductions.
Okay. This is a bigger thing and a more prevalent thing than I think a lot of, because we put these things kind of on the back burner, all right, in life. No one wants to talk about death. No one wants to talk about all the nasties of maybe, we're losing our faculties or whatever later in life. I know people very, very close to me that have gone through this situation, and because they put it off, not had those conversations, that unfortunately when things do get to that point, and they do for most of us, let's be frank, it's that conversation hasn't been had. Therefore, the rules are not in place, if you like. The plans are not in place, and it goes wrong.
It really did. I mean, we had a case when I had the planning business. I managed to get everything organised except the estate planning, because these guys were remote people and they need to get organised, the local lawyer to come in and do everything. And I had a trauma insurance case where the guy was he was in an induced coma. He'd been attacked in a hotel. In Maitland of all places, a nice, tidy little rough little pub in Maitland in New South Wales, in the coal mining territory. Anyway, because he was in an induced coma, he actually qualified for $300,000 trauma insurance payout.
Really?
But of course, he hadn't organised an enduring power of attorney with his wife, so she couldn't sign the claim form on his behalf. So he physically had to wake up, come out of his coma, be assessed as being capable of knowing what he's doing, sign the claim form, because we had the $300,000 ready to pay.
But without that signature and without him being in that position to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. His wife had to have the legal enduring power of attorney already in her possession. In order to act on his behalf, because he was legally incapacitated. So very important stuff.
Very important stuff. Again, we don't want to talk about it, but it's time to push forward. Push us all forward, really, and make sure we do talk about this. As I'm sitting here, I mean this. I'm going through my mind of people who are in my life who have been through this situation in one way or another. A wonderful man who has become a great friend of mine, who worked his life so hard, built a fantastic business, finally retired, and then has a terrible accident and actually falls off a ladder, right? And then he's become a quadriplegic, but still, without doubt, one of the most motivating human beings I've ever met in my entire life. Amazing. Ever want a book to read? I believe it's called Upside Down. It's worth a read.
Upside Down, okay.
Yeah, definitely worth a read. And Peter Howell, and what a wonderful man. What I'm getting at is, this man has gone through his entire life, great planning of business, really done well. He's got, his wonderful relationship. It's all good. Gets to that point. In a couple of weeks in, something like that happens to him, right?
Yes.
Now, this could have been a situation where he couldn't, sign paperwork, or power of attorney would have been an issue. Without that planning, I can't imagine the mess that he would be in. And of course, luckily, he was in a position where he had actually put things in place.
And there's so many different layers to it, Aaron. You might have. I had another case where I needed he was actually the head chef as a merchant seaman.
Right.
In a massive big BHP ship.
Okay.
He was the head chef, and he was had been with his second wife for many years. But when we did a review, he hadn't changed the nominated beneficiary in his BHP super fund. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Done that myself.
Like it was just, and we said, look, you've got to do this. But before we knew it, the poor devil had died. And then his second wife, who should have been the beneficiary, was not. It was still his first wife.
Yeah, okay.
And so the first wife and the children ended up with all the money.
Right.
His second wife completely got dudded. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's so sad. And it happens a lot.
It's quite common.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think about personal sort of instances where I think to myself, how many times have I not changed the people on my life insurance policy or whatever, luckily I've got mine up to date nowadays, but these are the things, again, because we don't want to think about them. We don't. So, okay. The old problem shared is a problem halved. If you go and see someone like yourself, you get that advice.
Yep.
You are in a position.
Well, you get the guidance.
Well, that I think I've used the
quality
right word.
guidance and education.
But you're guiding and you're educating with the right places to go, the right people to talk to,
or just show them how to do it.
Oh, okay.
God, you can go online and you can change your nominated beneficiary with your nominated super fund.
Yep.
You can do that yourself. You don't have to have an advisor to do that. I mean, you can do that yourself. There's you can. We don't recommend producing your own will because there's risks with that. But just organising your own affairs with your nominated beneficiaries, or binding, ideally, if you've got that option. So it's binding on the trustees to say, yes, I want, all my money to be split equally with my 3 children.
Sure.
And this is their names, and it's done. So if you die, the trustees don't have discretion. They go, right, bang, this is where it's got to go.
Well, Jeff, not being negative Nancy here, but it's when you die, because we're all going to go, right?
Yes,
so,
exactly.
This planning is important.
Yes, it is.
Now, we've got to think about these things. And I think about how many wills, obviously, people try and do the right thing and they write a will, but they do it themselves, kit from the post office or news agency or whatever. And often they don't stand up because they're not done correctly. So
totally,
again, some education on this is just brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It's just basically very good financial housekeeping.
Yeah.
And it's critical to get it right. A lot of people don't understand that your superannuation and your own home normally are simply excluded from your actual estate, because that's why when you make a nominated beneficiary in your super, you're determining who gets the money. And it doesn't have to form part of your estate at all. And of course, if you have a jointly owned home, so joint tenants as opposed to tenants in common, then if it's jointly owned and husband and wife, wife dies, husband automatically gets it. It's outside the estate. One of the big things with wills is that nearly 50% of people get divorced.
I know.
Which is an immediate nulling of the existing will.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Didn't know this.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So your old will's now dead in the water as soon as you get divorced.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't get onto it. They've got this. They have their second relationship kicks off, and they think the old will is still valid, but it's invalid.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that is really important information. I think about how many of us could fall for that trap.
Yeah, that's a risk.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Just so many things to think about when you're getting divorced. Sometimes there's party planning to do. No. There's a lot to keep in mind. But no, I didn't know that. That is that's wow. Just wow. Because you're right. Look, half of marriages end in divorce. It's very sad, but there's obviously a financial component to this. And again, often you've got children from that marriage, so you've got to consider that. And if the will isn't in tune with that, then your wishes are not going to be looked
That's
after.
right. And with blended families, in their new relationship, well, there's children from
Brady Bunch it.
The whole Brady Bunch mob. There's another layer of, well, who should get the money if I die? Maybe not necessarily my partner, maybe for my children specifically. So it's all got to be laid out properly.
It gets very, very messy indeed.
Yeah.
And a little bit of time spent with a little bit of education, talking to people that actually understand the game. I'm sitting here, I joke about it, but I do consider myself reasonably financially aware. I did not know that about the divorce. And that to me is a big deal. Certainly,
it's really important. And also corporate wills. Like a lot of people are in business, right? And I had a chap the other day. He said, "Oh, right, Jeff. I need to talk about a few things. I've done, earned this amount of money, and I'm single, and but seem to be missing out on a whole bunch of stuff. And I said, well, look, you said you just raised, $5 million for a market cap of 40 million for your new software business. And your mate's in Melbourne, and he's got 70% of the business.
Right.
So tell me what your partnership and your partnership agreement says. Your shareholders agreement. I said, what happens if your mate over there who's got 70% of a $40 million company, all of a sudden is dead?
Yeah.
Are you in partnership with his wife straight away as a minority shareholder?
Oh, right. And who owns that debt?
Yeah. Well, who? Yeah. I mean, is your new partner the wife of your new business partner, the actual wife of your deceased partner?
Is that often the case?
It happens a lot.
Okay.
It happens a lot because they're corporate wills, right?
Of course.
So you have a corporate will for people in business.
Yeah.
And there are the special agreements that can make sure that you plan for the succession of your shares in your business.
Right.
But I mean, that does cause all sorts of grief.
Look, I'm in a very privileged position because I'm sitting here right now with an expert in the game, right? And I mean this, okay, because I get to listen to this advice, take it in. Great news, obviously, we're recording this, so I can go back later and get some more advice if I need to sort of reaffirm things with myself. But I think that this is probably a really good opportunity to mention again. I know we spoke about it before, but you can actually book to come and spend some time with you. You just literally jump on your website, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. Wealth by Design, just all one word, wealthbydesign.com.au. There's a bunch of information in there, but more importantly, there's little buttons you can press to say book in for a 15-minute call. Okay. It just goes straight through to my calendar. And
you're very techie, mate. Tell you right, straight to your calendar. Mine's still kind of paper, but that's okay.
No, very techie. We like to be techie. It saves time. We're a small team these days, so we've got to be efficient.
Well, that's so true too. And I mean, okay, being a small team, you haven't got massive overheads, so that makes it more economical for your client. And that also, in my eyes, would make it again another reason why you're not pricing people out of the marketplace of being able to get this advice.
Well, not to get the initial information. Because the advice word is pretty well cut out of our vocabulary these days.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's just like have a discussion, tell me what your major issues and concerns are, where you need specific advice, where financial planning, legal, finance, broking, even HR. We're not HR people, but we've got HR people on our website,
right?
Or a service on our website, so we know the right people to refer you to, because it might be a specific workers' comp issue, HR.
Sure.
So we know the right people to refer our clients to, and we charge these people basically a marketing fee.
Of course.
And so that's how we make a living out of it.
Yeah, we got to make a living.
But and the in-house things we can handle. Where we don't need to be advisors. So novated leasing, insurance claims. We have an insurance claims business that helps people with their total and permanent disability claims or their backdated income protection claims. We can do that without being advisors. So that's a great service.
Over the last week, several people have spoken to me about the novated lease situation that we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
By word, my word, you have woken a lot of people up because a lot of people have contacted me who work for small businesses or work for themselves in a company situation. Want to take advantage of this. Want to take advantage of the tax advantages. Can you just? I know this is on a different sort of subject to what we've been talking about, but there are a lot of people who are very interested in it and would be watching the show accordingly for that reason. Can you revisit that for me, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
So novated leasing is an ATO approved tax product.
Yes.
It's been around for 25 years. It's not a new idea. Normally, employees with government and big corporates have always had access to the facility, because you must have an employer that's prepared to offer it as a benefit to their employees. And it's like a three-way agreement between you, the employee, your employer, and the novated leasing administration company that make it all happen.
All right.
Where they organize the finance for the vehicle, they package up everything so it interfaces. The costs of the vehicle are interfaced with your payroll.
Yes.
And so salary packaging company just collects all the money out of your payroll, and they pay the leasing company, and they make an allocation for what your budget will be for your tyres and your insurance and your
Yeah.
registration. So basically a fully maintained novated lease.
Right.
So not just the finance, it's the lot. And then you get a fuel card. And with your fuel card, you can shop around for the best deal on your tyres. But of course, you're paying with pre-tax money
Yes.
for those items, which
Yes.
makes it effective. So if it's and you have a combination of a pre and a post-tax deduction out of payroll
Yeah.
that goes off to the salary packaging company to manage it all for you.
Okay.
And of course, the pre-tax component is the tax bit, which is fantastic because if it's $5,000 to $7,000 a year of tax benefits, you've probably got $8,000 to $12,000 a year of tax deductions. So depending on your tax rate will depend on how much tax benefit you receive. And or if it's an electric vehicle, the government made an extremely generous contribution with the Greens really forcing the issue back in 2002.
Is that far back?
Well, it was really about encouraging Australia to adopt electric vehicles because of the environmental impact and benefits that the Greens were very, very keen to promote heavily. And so we just saw one go through yesterday, basically a $58,000 BYD, Build Your Dream. It's the brand name for this fantastic full Chinese car. So it competes with Tesla in a price range. Tesla's a bit dearer, but so Tesla's like 60 odd, and this is about 54-ish.
They're all made in China.
And so, but that one was like 58K, about $17,000 a year in total costs for 100% of the finance and a budget for the tires. They're expensive.
Yes.
On an EV, the insurance is expensive, but like $2,500 for insurance on an EV. So, and then you've got windscreen wipers and brake pads. Basically, that's all you pay for service. But that all goes through pre-tax, a bit like salary sacrifice for super. And so that's 100% tax deductible, $17,000 a year. So, so
I would suggest probably the reason why we've been actually asked, or me personally been asked about this during the week is Edge Radio Australia, we're very, very lucky. We have an association with the Wanneroo Business Association. Okay. We're actually the official station of the Wanneroo Business Association.
Oh, you're really?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Right. So, I know a few of the members up there.
Yes, fantastic people. The sundowners are fun. I'm just going to say that. But the thing with having that relationship is there's a lot of small businesses there that might only have one or two employees. It might be, just one, but one as a company. Now, these are small businesses that really need to drop tax, right? Okay, need to find efficient ways of doing that. And before this conversation that we had last week, me knowing that you could do this with just such a small business, I thought it was always big business. No. So I think that a lot of people from the Wanneroo Business Association are probably thinking to themselves, hang on, this is
it is available.
Really, available to me.
Yeah. Many of the small business owners, when you explain to them there's actually no fringe benefits tax problems, or to collect, because there's always a post-tax contribution made from the employee's payroll, which sort of extinguishes FBT. Right. Once they understand there's no FBT issues, and there is no cost or liability to offer it as a benefit to their staff, they generally go, God, Jeff, how long's this been around for? Why hasn't someone told us about it?
Where have you been all my life?
We say, well, the big guys just didn't want to talk to you because you're too small. It would normally talk to an employee with about 100 to 150 employees in size. But we've set up our own novated leasing brokerage business. It's the only one in Australia. And it's dedicated to the small to medium business sector. So our clients will have anywhere between 300 employees down to one. And it's like a one-man band consult. You just need pay slips. You need to be employed by a trust or a company. We'll vet you. You've got to have a good credit rating. But now you can have one or two employees, tiny business, get the same benefits as a $500,000 executive working for Woodside. And so, and I've gone to basically three of the top companies that I really like dealing with as big multi-million-dollar established novated leasing companies. And then we just work out the best deal, and then we place them with that company. And then they carry on, take over from our education piece at the front end. So the employer and the employer fully familiar with all the ins and outs of novated leasing. They're fully educated because it is an unregulated product. So it's
education rather is absolutely key.
It's really key.
No question about that. Yeah.
And then those companies who we've got on our panel, very good companies. They take over the administration, they deal with the finance application for the employee, and they handle the vehicle and the process all the way through to settlement. Okay. And then they just manage the payroll interface with the employer and the employee for the length of the lease.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. Good to see some comments coming through as well. Look, I'd love some more questions. Actually, we're getting nothing but compliments. Compliments are great and all, but I love the questions. But I haven't said that. As I said, I've had questions coming in through the week. Now, while I've got you here, mate, I want to sort of delve into some other questions. So, well, actually, no, not really questions. Really, I want to sort of see if you've got anything else that you'd like to talk about, anything that sort of comes to your mind that's fresh. Because I mean, I don't live in the finance world. You do. Sort of, what's something we should be thinking about at the moment?
Well, it's very specific, but it's a service we've carried over from the financial planning days. And officially there's only about 17,000 of these, and what they are is total and permanent disability insurance claims each year.
Okay. How many?
About 17,000 for a population of 26 million. It's not a lot, right?
No.
Mind you, our view would be that there is probably a capacity for over 40,000 claims a year, because really everyone that comes to us is referred to us by a friend that said, oh, you should go and talk to these guys. You may have a claim because you've got this autoimmune disease and you can't work.
Yeah, well,
right?
Exactly. We need to be, I mean, the money needs to come in the door. We've got bills to pay and things to do.
So like we've just had a couple of really great wins this week. We just charge a success only fee.
Okay.
And we negotiate that up front. But there's someone that one of our current clients. So we got one TPD claim paid out with a local state-owned super fund for a couple of $100,000 last month. But we got the go-ahead yesterday for another one for 465,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I go, wow, like that's a lot of money. You know what? The world's very expensive these days, and actually making that last a long time.
It is. Yeah. But it was money that they would never have thought about getting. Okay. It was just a conversation over a glass of wine with someone who said, oh, Jeff, what do you do?
It's a bit dangerous, the old glass of wine. There you go.
And later this woman, she sort of kept her powder dry, but went home and talked to her husband later on. And he said, oh, I reckon you should get that bloke's contact details and have a chat. So it's not only 2 TPD claims we now have got approved, which is in total about 650 grand, right?
Right.
But with her previous employer, there was a group salary continuance insurance policy, normally called income protection. But
because when you just said that to me, I'm like scratching my head. Like,
what is it?
What is that? Yeah.
I know. So an employer sometimes has a group income protection policy for all their employees.
Okay.
And so she just left because she was so crook with this autoimmune disease issue, and so and didn't think about claiming it. Mind you, the employer didn't say, hey, you should claim on our group policy. And you don't.
Again, we're back to education, mate.
Yeah. So for a couple of reasons it didn't happen. So we're 2 years down the track, and we've gone, that policy was enforced for you when you left. If you'd been a client of mine and you'd been paying an advisor to give you support and help and guidance and advice, then I would have made sure you claimed on that policy, because that's a definite claim event. You can't work because of your illness.
Of course.
Simple.
Of course.
And like there's $8,000 a month.
Well, let me ask this then.
Big one.
Can this be done retrospectively?
Yes, it can. And that's the case here. We've gone back 2 years.
Right.
And we've said this policy was enforced then. This medical reports say you were incapable of working. That's why you left work.
Of course.
So we're going back 2 years now, and we haven't got it over the line yet, but we're in negotiation with the insurance company. So that every chance we'll get it backdated. So it's pretty easy. Like it's $8,000 a month times 12 months times 2 years. Fair bit of cash.
Absolutely.
And it's a 5-year benefit period. So what we'll do is you'll get a benefit for the next 3 years.
Right.
So we get it backdated for 2 years.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And something on that front too is a lot of times when things go wrong in your life, right? The financial strain sort of comes later. It doesn't happen immediately. You know, I've had some stuff happen in my life where I literally didn't feel that the financial problems, I guess, or pressures or whatever you want to call them, for a full 18 months because of the fact that, I was booked sort of 18 months in advance, and when, work had been stopped and all that sort of issue, because I think we all know what happened over the last few years. But in my life, it took really 18 months for it to have a really hammering effect, and a lot of people I probably would have a similar sort of thing with that.
Yeah, it is. It creeps up on you because life gets busy. There's so much going on. And it's hard to get this because there's a lot of misinformation. There's also a lot of jargon.
And the jargon does push us a lot of us away, mate, because I'm not a financial guy. I'm not into that sort of thing, to a great extent. I like to leave the people with the skills to that, or speak to people who've got the level of education that they can educate me properly. So the jargon does push a lot of people away, and we find this a lot in the crypto space. The crypto space, which is such an exciting area of finance right now. But there's all these abbreviations for everything. That sometimes you can feel a little isolated from it. Do you find that that's something for the everyday
we
person?
do, and we cross that area as well. In the crypto area, because
I know you are.
Mainly because it's pretty well developing as a fifth asset class. And for diversification, those that are very well informed are already diversifying their portfolios into some of the blue chip cryptos.
Of course.
And because the big thing there is security. So we support a platform that provides full custody for those investors' assets. Very, very important, because the scamming and the hacking of exchanges and stealing of these assets off exchanges is quite common.
Well, you're running. So I mean, having it in someone else's custody, like a lot of people would see that as a fear factor, but if it's insured,
it's insured.
What a difference!
Which is fabulous. So that's we touch on that. We had a financial planner the other day refer a client with. He said, this guy's got some crypto. I said, how much? He said, about 400 grand's worth. And I said, okay. But when he came in, we had it all up, spreadsheeted it all, current market values. It's over 520,000. This bloke, but he had it spread between a couple of external wallets, because he didn't want to have it on platform, which is a smart move. There's a very good company called Orange Brick Road promote that idea in Perth, and they're fabulous at educating people on that. But this guy said, look, I don't trust myself. I might lose my key. I need something more secure. Can I put it on a platform that's insured? We said, you use ours.
Brilliant. That appeals to me like you can't believe. It's very interesting, actually. You see crypto as an asset class, and this is the great sort of conversation on crypto. Is it a currency or is it an asset? And certainly in my eyes, I see it more of an asset. But I understand both arguments.
I mean, Bitcoin is essentially a storage of wealth. It has really no other use case, but something like XRP or Ripple is a software program, really, that allows the banks to convert fiat currency into the various crypto assets. I think, on this platform, there's only 21 assets, but there's 23,000 cryptos. So it's 21 out of 23,000.
You're talking about the cream here.
It's they've all got a use case. Like, what is the use for this particular crypto or software product?
It has to be a tangible thing.
And it's got to be tangible. And as soon as someone understands the use case, it makes sense and takes all the mystique out of it.
It does. Sorry to interrupt you. I just was looking and seeing more comments coming through, so I just want to sort of throw this forward. So the success-only fee for the work that you're doing, or the work that you're recommending and the education you're giving, that must change lives. That's what the comment is there, and I appreciate that comment coming in. And I thoroughly agree with that. Takes so much pressure off people, because if you're worried about the big expense at the end, well, there isn't going to be one if there's not a success. So
that's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. And mind you, we only take them on if we think there's about a 60-40 chance of them getting up.
Yeah, of course.
And we've been doing them for 30 years now. Like,
right.
You know, like I had the financial planning business for 25 years, and
you're doing what you're doing now.
And we're doing this now for the last 5 years. My claims manager has 30 years experience. In fact, he said the other day, Jeff, I love working for you. I said, oh, why is that, mate? He said, we'll pay you enough. Yeah. But for 30 years, I worked on the other side of the desk, working out how not to pay these claims. Ooh. But now I'm on this side working for you. I know all the angles, and I know what needs to be done and presented to the claims managers in order to get the claims paid.
Which is a great advantage, mate.
Which is was pretty obvious when you think about it, but it was nice to get that feedback. Yeah,
very nice. Honestly, and then the feedback is the interesting thing. As I say, we keep getting great feedback coming online, but also during the week about the different products and that you're involved with and different advice, and it's very eye-opening to me because it's, I don't know, to a big sort of extent. As a layman, we kind of feel that we know what's going on with these things, but there are the legislation changes, laws change all the time. Therefore, they change the playing field.
Yes.
Now, I don't need to keep up to date with that. You do. And the the people you recommend, the advisors that you recommend, they have to.
Absolutely. Right? They're yes, and they've got very severe punitive consequences if they don't keep the qualifications up and B, know what they're doing. I mean, it was only 3 years ago. There's about 23,000 financial advisors in Australia. Like it's down to about roughly 14,000 now.
Okay.
To look after the whole country.
Yeah. Sure.
And so it's and they're flat out. The good ones are hard to get into even.
Of course. Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah, there'd be quite a waiting list on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, if you want to talk to a good one, probably best to go through you, mate, because you're going to open the doors.
Yeah.
And I think that probably the best way to start that is the 15-minute consultation. So again, go to your website, okay?
Yep.
Which is?
Wealth by Design, all one word, wealthbydesign.com.au.
Fantastic. And you can actually literally click away, book the appointment right then and there, get it done, and you've got some peace of mind there.
Absolutely, yeah. Booking for a chat, 15 minutes. It gives us an opportunity to get a bit of a feel for what your primary issues and concerns are.
Yep.
And we can even give you a link where you can pre-plan and provide us with some basic information before we have the call, because then we can do a bit of a review on what your primary issues and concerns are before the appointment, so that we can go, oh, righto, this is what the major issues are here.
Well, all of our plans and our desires are different. We're all individuals.
Totally.
So, plan for your life, not some cookie cutter sort of life that somebody else is.
Look, the pension doesn't cut it, right?
No.
It just doesn't pay enough. And so you really do need to do some serious planning. I mean, we've just recently launched a brand new self-managed super fund product to the pre-retiree market, which actually links into the NDIS world.
Okay. Tell me some more about that.
Well, the government through NDIS have essentially said, look, we want to engage the private community to help with the housing for the disabled. So, with the rental allocations for the 4 different grades of disability, basically ranges from about 50K up to about 95,000 per individual per year, which is quite a lot of money. And so we're engaging now builders to seek out the right areas to build the right properties, so that we can have a vertical integrated system where the disabled people and their families can absolutely engage with what they believe is the appropriate accommodation in the right area, close to public transport, close to where everyone lives, close to public health, etc.
Right.
And there's the government are approving these people for NDIS all the time. So we're basically putting together the families, the disabled people, the appropriate housing for them. It just might be a single house, because sometimes people with certain disabilities will live on their own, and it's better they live on their own. But sometimes they'll be one of 2 or 3 in a property.
Yeah.
But then the government with the rental support means that investors are achieving a much higher return than what they would be if they just bought a house and rented it out.
And look, it's better for society, quite frankly, if this is done more with the private sector than relying on public housing all the way down the line.
It's a bit of a joint venture between the government and the private sector. So self-managed super fund money is very popular because of a pre-retiree who's done all their numbers, and we had a FIFO guy the other day, 59 years of age, 470 odd grand in super.
Sure.
He basically said, look, it's not enough. I'm going to, I can put my 30 grand max super in for the next, 5 or 6 years.
Sure.
But it's not going to be enough to allow me to maintain the lifestyle I've been used to as a FIFO because I've been paid well.
That's right.
So, here's about a 35% deposit, on $1 million property.
Yep.
That 750 grand will get paid off within about 4 or 5 years with the government funded NDIS rentals.
Yep.
And so he's now looking at a retirement income of between 150 and 200 grand a year.
You know what? And you're doing something good for society.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking after yourself. Okay, that's important. You're preparing for your retirement. You're obviously looking after your family from that point of view of, an asset that you could pass down. Okay, really good thing. But at the same time, you're also helping the community when it comes to providing housing for those who need it.
It's absolutely a win-win.
Yeah.
Often where you have governments, handing out enormous amounts of money, greed and poor planning comes into it. And the poor old taxpayer gets screwed, and the end product is not that well, or it doesn't sit that well. But we've got a model now with the right builders, the right locations for the properties to be built, the right sort of guidance, and we've got our own. We've got a financial planning group that organise the self-managed super fund advice. So not us. Another group that are licensed to do it.
Okay.
If there's a bare trust involved, which is quite a key piece, they do all that.
Okay.
But we'll coordinate it all. And so everyone will be a winner. Disabled people, the families, the builders. The builders will get paid. They'll get paid well. They won't be able to rip people off, but they won't get ripped off. The worst thing is a builder trying to do something on the skinny and they go broke halfway through a project. So we don't want that either.
Everybody loses on
Everyone loses. So builder will be looked after, and the tenant and the tenants will be happy in their, we call them applicants, the NDIS approved people, and the investors. So everyone will be a winner. The investors will basically have probably up to a 20-year lease, not guaranteed income because the tenants can leave whenever they like.
Right.
But if everything is set up correctly, the tenants won't want to leave.
No.
Because they'll be happy.
Of course.
And the families will be happy.
Yeah, and I like on this too. I also think about, some people will want to live alone, but others will want to live with their family, and they'll want that. The housing will enable that. They'll be able to stay with those they love for longer, which is a really big benefit to a lot of people with a disability. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question based on something? One of the questions or comments that's come up because, again, I'm in the financial dark on this. Group income protection for employers.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, we had many executives that over the years, when we had the planning company, they would qualify with their salary package, often within their super. So they go, righto, this is the super fund that we're recommending, or you can choose your own. But if you use the one that we've just done a deal with AMP or Colonial or whoever, in here, based on your salary package, you'll get $500,000 worth of death and total and permanent disability, paid for by the company. And we'll put in also into the group company salary continuance scheme.
Right.
You will qualify for that as part of your job. So we're going to pay you 300 grand a year. We're going to pay an extra amount into your super over and above the superannuation guarantee levy. You're going to get $500,000 for the death and TPD in the super fund, which we'll pay for, and we'll pay for the income protection policy for you. And it'll be a 5-year benefit period. And the waiting days are 90 days, something like that.
Right. Okay.
So it's something that either the employer paid for, or if you're a bit lower down the rung as an employee, it's offered to you, but you pay for it.
All right. Okay.
That's what it is. So it comes with your program. Like there's over about 6 million industry super funds out there, and many employees have multiple because they move from job to job to job. So they might be with Host Plus one day and then C Plus the next, and goes on and on. So there's a lot of multiples, but within those, there's automatic death and TPD insurance already built in there,
Yes, there is.
which you don't apply for. It's at much lower amounts. It might be 30 grand, 40 grand, 100 grand. But that's sitting in there. A lot of people don't even know it's there because they just sign on for it. And so some of our claims are where someone has said to these people, look, hey, you've broken your back. You can't work. Have you looked inside your super to see if you've got any of this stuff called TPD? And they go, oh, well, I get the statement from the super fund, but I never read it.
No. It's like the terms and conditions, mate.
Yeah.
Just click OK.
But it's sitting in there, sitting
Very,
there,
very
ready
true,
to claim on.
All right, we've come to the end of the show, mate. And the show, it's really, as I say, more of an education session for me, really, let's be honest. Brilliant, as always. And I can't wait to see you next week and go with some more, because I've got more questions I want to ask you. And quite frankly, I've run out of time. So for that reason, I will just ask you again, how can we get hold? We are going to put this up, by the way, on the Edge Radio Australia website, edgeradioaustralia.com. We're setting up a link, so just make life easier for everyone.
Okay, fantastic.
But otherwise, if we want to go, and also I've put a little thing on the bottom of the screen there, the little ticker at the bottom that says wealthbydesign.com.au.
Fantastic.
Which is where we can find you. Mate, any sort of last words when it comes to...
No, not at all. Just thanks for the opportunity, really. I mean, it's bridging the knowledge gap, Aaron, is really our primary role in life these days. Yep. And once the knowledge gap is sort of reduced for people, they generally get the confidence to go, right, well, we need to make an effort here to get more information and talk to someone that can help them. And it might just be a quick referral that we do, or it might be something we can do internally.
A bit more in depth.
Yeah. So with the novated leasing, sometimes people want to go straight to the novated leasing site as well. Okay. So what I could do there is say, look, the website for the novated leasing information is actually nclo.com.au. So novated car leasing options, that's what it stands for.
Okay.
.com.au. So somebody would like to go straight there to do the tax calculations and things. Yeah.
Let's put that on the website because I'll forget that one. We'll put that on the Edge Radio Australia site to make it much easier again. All right, mate. Thank you very much.
A pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Jeff.
Thank you for having us.
Looking forward to seeing you again next week to ask the other questions that I haven't got to just yet.